This organized chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Today's topic will be Nerdrotic, everybody's favorite, speaking of facial hair, everybody's favorite nerd. Yeah, I just posted a thing about him in the community tab, and I was thinking about sharing it on stream, but I forgot to, so I won't. But, yeah, he has a video. Apparently, the video he did just recently, this exposed Hollywood 9 days ago, 2.4 million views. And actually, I was pulling it up on his video tab. And then when I click on popular, it's already his most popular video ever. Whatever the crap this is, Woman King and Tom Hanks, because those two movies have a lot in common? Oh, good point. Nerdrotic is an escape from Duck. Yeah, he does look like the Duck Dynasty guys so much. Just so much. I don't know if maybe the new video is a sequel to this one that he did during COVID. I'm tempted to do them both. But you know, we will check out this one, and then if you guys want me to check out the COVID one, let me know. But we're gonna go ahead and check out this cringe. Not cringe. Nerdrotic is gold. He's great. There's a green Brie Larson on that thumbnail for some reason. Yeah, he's great.
I'm that petrifying to these billion-dollar companies? Well, good. I hope I am. And I hope everybody else becomes that. I mean, this is what they're afraid of. They're afraid of one voice. Imagine.
Are people afraid of Gina Carano? I don't think so. It sounds like right-wing media is trying to puff her up a bit. Hollywood amuses me. Holier than thou for the public and unholier than thou for the devil in reality. Ooh, yeah, that's Grace Kelly. She's one of the Fox News people, isn't she? Great. Cool.
We all have joined a circus here. And in that circus, there is going to be all sorts of inappropriate messages, inappropriate behavior, and some sort of downright sexual predatory aspects of it.
My dog stepped on a bee.
Lord! Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2.
That is a deep take, Alex. I'm split. On one hand, Gina doesn't seem like the nicest person. By the other hand, hot girl. Yeah, her personality takes her down quite a few notches in hotness, in my opinion.
Can't wait to see it. All right?
Oh, that's right. The Princess Monica. Thank you, Whitney.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard.
I mean arrested for disorderly conduct?
Yeah.
I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. I claim my Fourth Amendment rights.
I find myself in New Zealand playing the first female dwarf and immersing myself in the world of Middle-earth in such an extraordinary way.
You have all these actors who have become famous.
Get it? Because they're saying stuff and it's making the celebrities laugh because it's funny when you edit it together like that, right? I'm going to get annoyed if this ends up being the whole 20 minutes.
Playing these characters.
Yeah.
But they're not movie stars.
Right.
Captain America is the star.
Right.
Thor is the star.
If the only gatekeepers to movies.
You see, like, part of me understands what he's saying because the draw for a lot of these movies are the superheroes in them, which means the studio kind of own them. That being said, there's been plenty of movies that were led by people like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans. It is a point that there's not a whole lot of big Hollywood stars like back in the 80s. You had Tom Cruise, you get Arnold Schwarzenegger, you get Sylvester Stallone. These are stars. The draw is the star you get. And now this draw is the characters, maybe the franchise. And I don't know what, I don't know which is better. It's just different.
Stardom came from Tarantino and Scorsese, I would never have had the opportunity to lead a $400 million plus movie. I'm in awe of their filmmaking genius. They are transcendent.
And, Nerdrotic, of course, does not like Simu Liu, who I'm certain I'm slaughtering his name, but he's a guy I respect. He's got lots of great media takes. He's the guy who played Shang-Chi. And Nerdrotic largely doesn't like him because he was called out, properly so, by him.
Auteurs, but they don't get to point.
Alex Levins, Evans, though, made the role work. He made someone as straight-laced and pure-hearted as Steve, very human, very down-to-earth, very relatable. Very true. Chris Evans kind of nailed that role. He did a fantastic job as Captain America.
Point their nose at me or anyone.
The evolution of the business has gone to, like, there are no movie stars anymore. Like, Anthony Mackie isn't a movie star. The Falcon is a movie star.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a
That's the thing. Obviously Anthony Mackie's not as big as a lot of your, like Arnold Schwarzenegger was, but nobody was that big. He's still a big name, though. People know who Anthony Mackie is. Yes, Falcon is probably more well-known at this point, but it's not like Anthony Mackie is a no-name.
platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about...
I understand their hate boner to a degree because he's not afraid to call them out. He will frequently call these guys out on social media, as he should. More people should be calling out people like Nerdrotic and his ilk on social media, because these people they stir that hate pot.
About anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off. Okay?
Nerdrotic.com.
Remember all...
Are we gonna get to a point? That was 2 minutes of just, random fucking shit.
Those Access Media articles telling you the thing that you clearly didn't like.
So I'm pretty sure he bought an Isom shirt, and, that's all the clothes he has anymore, because I swear that's all he's wearing in his videos anymore. That thing's gonna start looking pretty gross after a while. Almost as gross as his beard. Oh!
Was a good thing. For instance, The Last Jedi has no respect for nostalgia, and that's a good thing. Disney killed the Star Wars expanded universe. Why that's a good...
And I really get to the point. I hate his stupid voice that he puts on for reading this stuff. I understand maybe putting on a different inflection when you read articles and stuff like that, but the effeminate voice he puts on, it's just, he's obviously doing it to be an asshole.
Thing. The Eternals is not your typical Marvel movie, and that's a good thing. Andor doesn't feel like Star Wars.
Yeah, and he has to put on that voice, because if you take these quotes by themselves, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with these quotes by themselves. So he has to put on some goofy fucking voice.
And that's a good thing. And who can forget my personal favorite, The Rings of Power is gonna upset Tolkien purists, and that's a good thing. Well, I've got one for you. Woke Hollywood is failing, and that's a good thing. But how can you say that? The corporate shills have said woke Hollywood is doing just fine, and you're just a teeny tiny vocal minority of bigots. Well, let's recap the year.
Well, I mean, that's true. True. He's one of the leaders of the bigots on YouTube, so congrats.
And you'll have to forgive me, I'm doing this off the top of my head. Award shows completely bombing, including the Oscars, which was only saved from being another record low by the slap heard around the world. Disney Star Wars accomplishing the inexplicable by breaking Disney Star Wars again with Obi-Wan. The beginnings of a woke net.
If it was already broken, how can it be broken again? You love to throw these terms around, but fun fact, Star Wars isn't broken.
Netflix culling following the failed Chappelle protests.
We understand that jokes are jokes, things are things, but at the end of the day...
What the hell is even that?
A year of Disney Marvel diminishing returns in the theater and...
A year of Disney Marvel diminishing returns in the theater. What is Black Panther 2 at? Isn't Black Panther 2 still doing really well? I know Doctor Strange 2 made almost $1 billion, and I know, we're gonna find this out. Where is Black Panther 2 at? Now, like the biggest, like Thor: Love and Thunder definitely underperformed, but I think the other ones are largely doing fine. Okay, so we'll go over here. So Black Panther 2 is at 741 million. Last I saw, it's doing better than Doctor Strange 2, which means it's like guaranteed $1 billion. So not really failing. Where's your argument? Not really.
Absolute MCU failures on Disney Plus. Couple that with all of...
Yeah, exactly. Code Grease anime fan. Doctor Strange 2, for a character that people weren't super familiar with, the sequel makes almost $1 billion? That's really fucking good.
Those Disney flops, including one from Pixar.
Sexism in gaming.
The inevitable demise of G4 in under a
I don't know a whole lot about G4. I don't really care.
year. Batgirl, a near completed film, canceled and erased from existence.
Yeah, that's just weird. That's really weird. I don't know why Zaslav did that. We'll see what happens.
Zaslav with his axe, firing all the big shots at formerly America's Dumbest Company, Warner Brothers, and then hiring James Gunn and bringing back Henry Cavill. The wokest of the woke, CW, selling for a bag of potato chips. Unfortunately, the company who bought them overpaid after they found out for every dollar the CW was spending, it was losing $2.
Everything burns.
Then, of course, there's The Woman King, a historical drama and a female empowerment story about slavers somehow managing to have a good opening on the worst box office weekend in 25 years.
Yeah, you know, they love to throw out these numbers and they don't like to talk about the pandemic. All numbers this pandemic have to be essentially pandemic weighted. Because almost every movie has suffered since the pandemic. I guess technically, is it still a pandemic or is it an endemic now? But since pandemic, all numbers have been down. Period. This is just a fact of life right now. If your movie's not named Spider-Man, No Way Home, or Top Gun Maverick, your movie is suffering pandemic issues with its numbers. Marvel is not immune, but Marvel's doing better than most things. But yeah, box office... that's such a random thing to pull out, because 2021 and 2022 have been really bad because the pandemic. Theaters were shut down for like a year.
If you don't come see it, then you're sending a message that black women cannot lead the box office globally. Hey. That you are supporting that narrative.
Bros.
That's not what she said. Did you see how they love to do this, like, victim shit. Hold on.
Is globally. Hey.
He's putting words in her mouth by having her essentially say, you are a racist. Now, is Nerdrotic a racist? In his personal life, I don't know. But he certainly plays one on YouTube, and that's where everybody sees him, and that's where all his fans see him. So, he might as well be. That being said, that's not what she said. So, good way to put words in your mouth. And also, guys like Nerdrotic and his followers... don't be such snowflakes. Listen, being a racist is not some, like, dark thing you can't recover from. Being racist is just, like, a pattern of behavior, and you just have to break it. There's nothing dark and evil about being a racist. It's just something you have to, figure out and, fight against. It's nothing too complex. Nothing.
You are supporting that narrative.
Bros, an LGBTQ plus rom-com, completely flopped after the star of the film called potential movie ticket buyers homophobes.
No, that's not what... Okay, so what Billy Eichner did with Bros, I've brought it up before. I think what he did was dumb. I think he essentially, when it bombed, he said... there's lots of homophobes, and that's why people didn't go see it. People didn't go see it because essentially it's a romantic comedy, and people are barely going to theaters. Like, Marvel's taking a hit. Of course, romantic comedies are going to take a hit. Is there a homophobic element to the box office? I'm sure, but that's not the primary thing to why it failed. I think primarily something like Bros is going to do better on home video or streaming. just because it's not like a big event movie, and that's all that people are really going to the theaters for, big event movies. Now he just framed it as if Billy Eichner called everybody homophobes and that's why it bombed. No, it bombed, and then Billy Eichner said it's because of the homophobes. Like, what Billy Eichner did is something I disagree with, but you, Gary, Nerdrotic, you still had to fucking reframe it incorrectly. Jesus, dude.
Film called Potential Movie Ticket Buyers Homophobes. Shocking turn of events. In another shocking turn of events, just recently the film She Said, which is a docudrama based on the investigation behind the Harvey Weinstein scandal, completely failed.
I hate that narrative too, because listen, like we brought up on Phantom Initiative.
The Harvey Weinstein scandal completely.
So we brought this up on the Phantom Initiative. Yes, the movie didn't do well. It's meant for Oscars. So if it gets nominated, once it gets nominated, it'll get re-released to more theaters, and it will make its money back. That's what Oscar movies are typically for. They usually like to, get in some sort of date, get in there, and then when the Oscars are announced, that's when they'll go ahead and rake in their money. That's how that works. Failing now doesn't mean shit for an Oscar movie.
Failed. Honorable mentions: Star Trek and Doctor Who, two franchises that are well into the apathy phase, trying to turn things around too little, too late. And one of the more surprising things of the year, no, not the Rings of Power being a complete disaster, the successful fan backlash that absolutely, positively defeated a $1 trillion company. And
how? Rings of Power was possibly their most successful series, at least one of their most successful series. So what's your source that it destroyed the company? What the fuck source? I love how they just say shit.
And the most recent thing, Disney firing their CEO in the middle of the night on a Sunday.
Yeah, that was a weird thing to suddenly happen. Like I said, the rumors I heard was that Chapek wasn't doing well with the parks. Maybe there's other reasons. We don't know. I'm sure you will give us an answer like Critical Drinker did, but it'll be bullshit.
The strategies that Bob's put in place are really, long-lasting in terms of where the company's going to go in the short term.
Bob Iger has said already he is not coming back. So if you take him at his word, he is gone.
You don't want another big media job.
No, I worked for a big media company for almost 50 years.
Yeah.
I started when I was 23.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, neither Bob Iger or Bob Chapek thrill me. From the Marvel side, the media side that most of us are familiar with, it seems like it's about the same. Chapek did kind of need called out, and Iger did call him out. Was it with the Florida bill? It was something like that. But at the same time, Iger was also the same guy that fired James Gunn. So, neither one of these guys have perfect histories. And fact is, if you look into it, both these guys are probably fairly conservative, but they're just trying to make money.
The company says with its parks and other operations shut down, it lost more than $1 billion last quarter alone.
Today, dozens of Disney employees walked off.
Oh, God. Yeah, I just brought up the Florida bill. Now they're going to talk about it.
The job, an act of protest over Florida.
That is true, Robert. He fired him and then he brought him back. So, yeah, I mean, he fucked up and it got fixed. So good on him. That being said, James Gunn was actually supposed to have a bigger role in Marvel. Kevin Feige had him in mind to be pretty much the guy in charge of all the cosmic stuff. And yeah, that's gone. He's just doing the last Guardians movie. Then he'll move over to DC.
Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill.
Now, we were opposed to the bill from the outset, but we chose not to take a public position on it because we thought we could be more effective working behind the scenes.
Don't say he.
Yeah, what Chapek just said is complete bullshit. He doesn't care except that it leaked that he was funding people that were for it. So, yeah, he's just trying to cover his ass. That's all that was.
He, she, ladies, gentlemen, just very basically we have to be in fear of what we say now.
I want you to know that your words have made a real impact on me. I understand that we've made mistakes and the pain that those mistakes have caused. And I know that our silence wasn't just about the bill in Florida, but about every time an individual or institution that should have stood up for this community did not.
Yeah. Beta! We're incredibly proud of how much.
So, like, while Drinker seemed to be taking Chapek's side, it seems like Nerdrotic is going to be like, was he going to say that Chapek went too woke and that's why they had to fire him in the middle of the night? Is that his take? No.
Our stories have been embraced by people around the world.
The cost of keeping these subscribers, of coming up with blockbuster hits, of paying billions of dollars in programming costs to keep the fresh material coming that's going to attract people and keep them from turning this stuff off is enormous.
Well, we had a great quarter overall. I mean, not only in streaming, but in our parks business as well.
Healthy companies do not fire their CEO in the middle of the night at an Elton John concert and then replace him in a panic move with the architect of all their failures. As a wise person, one.
The architect of all their failures? Igor possibly brought Disney to their most successful point ever. What the fuck are you talking about, man? He was the one that was in charge when Marvel and Star Wars were purchased, which have been huge financial gains for Disney. So, I like how they just say shit.
Once said on Twitter, it's the roundest of times and find outest of times. Get woke, go broke. Or, in the case of Twitter and Warner Brothers, get woke, get taken over. And lest we not forget Elon Musk's hostile takeover of Twitter. And the meltdown has been glorious, particularly from woke Hollywood.
So it has been a little over a week since Elon Musk took over Twitter, and the place is it's a mess.
I've been on Tesla, man. Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they're pranksters, but people were still fired. They can both be fucking true.
Michelle Obama wouldn't have happened.
Elon Musk Twitter? I don't know, right? This used to be a town square.
He's already called back some of the workforce he fired a few days ago. He's putting his $8 charge for blue check verification on hold. First it was going to be $20, now it's going to be $8. He also suspended
Yes, he did troll shit because Elon Musk has the sense of humor of a 14-year-old. Cool.
Griffin for impersonating him on a parody account. I'm getting off.
Okay, fuckity bye. And none of this happens if you walk away, black pill, or stay silent. And things have gotten so bad, Hollywood, the access media, and the mainstream media have to acknowledge it, but of course, in their own way, without getting to the source of the problem and completely missing the point. Ideological blind spot or willful ignorance. Maybe they're the same thing. I'll let you decide. Now we're going to get to an article that Chris Gore sent me about.
Oh, Chris Gore. We covered him on the last Fandom Initiative. I know Dane's putting together clips of it. But yes. That hairstyle is definitely a choice by him. Yeah.
A month ago from the Gray Lady, the once respected but now ultimate garbage tier New York Times. After #MeToo reckoning of fear Hollywood is regressing, the movement led to increased diversity, representation in the entertainment industry, but now there is a worry that executives may have turned their attention elsewhere. You mean focus on things like being profitable as a company? Harvey Weinstein's
what evidence do you have that they haven't been focusing on being profitable, dude? I guarantee you that's what they're focusing on.
The second sex crimes trial began Monday in Los Angeles. She said about the journalistic investigation that took him down and helped ignite the #MeToo movement, which ultimately failed, arrives in theaters on November 18th. Well, that already happened, and it completely failed. The Woman King opened.
Already brought that up. All right.
To strong ticket sales last month on the worst box office weekend.
I know nothing about his wife. I don't usually like to dive too much into their personal lives unless it becomes obvious. Unless it becomes public, essentially. I don't know if she's on Twitter, if she's on has a YouTube channel or is on one of his videos or something. I'll check it out. But yeah, I don't really know anything outside that.
Again in 25 years, so I'm not sure how that happens, with Viola Davis saying she thought about the man who did very bad things to her, by the way, to power her visceral performance as the leader of the all-female group of African warriors that enslaved their own people. The Convergence is
Cool. You know, I won't mind looking into the actual history of the Woman King movie, because I bet you these guys are misrepresenting the shit out of it.
a reminder of just how earth-shaking #MeToo was for Hollywood. It was also opportunistic and a massive power grab, and that's why it ultimately failed.
It failed? What the fuck are you talking about? It failed. I think something like the Me Too movement is important because if people are sexually assaulted, people should be comfortable coming out and addressing that. People who are sexual assaulters should be identified and punished for those crimes. This isn't a cringe take, I feel. This is like not a hot take here. This is just me saying, hey, if people do crimes, they should be held accountable. Why this coded anti-Me Too shit, Gary?
It helped touch off a broader reckoning in the entertainment industry around diversity, equity, and inclusion on both sides of the camera. Who gets to make the movies? Who gets to be subject of them? Activists say the studio and sets were permanently changed for the better. Mind you, activists said that. Zero tolerance for the workplace sexual bad things and discrimination is real. In recent months, however, Hollywood business culture has started to regress in subtle ways. Oh, it wasn't so subtle because Hollywood never stopped the discrimination, they just changed it.
You can imagine, as a lot of industries, but Hollywood particularly, for so long, people hired people they knew, and that ended up often being people who looked like them.
We must, in my view, always have the right to promote the best man for the job, regardless of sex.
New problems, widespread cost cutting as the box office continues to struggle, coming union contract negotiations that producers worry will result in a filming shutdown have become a higher priority. You mean making money, being profitable?
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Wait. No, that was a union shit. New problems. Widespread cost cutting at the box office continues to struggle. Upcoming union contract negotiations that producers worry will result in filming shutdown have become a higher priority. Yeah. They have to make sure they get the union contracts in so that people work and they can keep on going with their jobs. That's all that's saying.
Will result in a filming shutdown have become a higher priority. You mean making money, being profitable?
Yes, because they can't make money unless they make deals with the union. You understand how unions work, right, Gary? Do you need, dude, I'll come on your show and talk to you about fucking unions. Unions are important.
Check out the big brain on Brad. You're a smart mother. That's right.
Fearing blowback, media companies that were vocal about #MeToo and Black Lives Matter have been quieter on more recent political debates or cultural issues. It is
okay.
My belief that some of the most useless people on the planet are DEI executives. So let's hear from some. Diversity, equity, and inclusion executives say that they are exhausted by...
Oh, DEI, is that diversity, equity, and inclusion? Okay.
An all-boy network that is continuously trying to reconstitute itself. Women who were hired for big jobs and held up as triumphant examples of a new era have been pushed aside, except for Jennifer Salke at Amazon and Kathleen Kennedy, both who should be, while some...
I get a little sick. Kathleen Kennedy has an amazing fucking resume. She has earned the place she is at Lucasfilms. I wish these people would stop. Yeah, no, Star Wars hasn't been perfect under her tenure, but it wasn't perfect under fucking George Lucas's either. So let's just let her work. I don't know, like when she does a bad job, like with her calls with Rise of Skywalker and Solo, yeah, criticize her, but like these calls to constantly fire her, especially with the past couple of entries into Star Wars, like Andor was fantastic. I'm glad she greenlit that. Jesus, these people have no fucking nuance. That's the issue.
Some of the men who were sidelined by misconduct accusations are working again, probably because in some cases those were just unproven accusations. Are there pieces of crap in Hollywood? Certainly. Here's the problem: trying to actually figure out who they are in a town filled with them. If asked to speak on the record about their continued dedication.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's why the Me Too movement is important. It's important to call them out and identify them, because these people are disgusting.
To change, Hollywood executives refuse or scramble in terror toward the "we remain staunchly committed" talking points written by publicists. Everything they say is practically written by publicists, but what they say privately is a different story. Some revert to sexist and racist language. Certainly, much of the fervor is gone.
Yes, behind closed doors, lots of times these people will do shit like that, and that's an issue, and that needs called out. You know, and if these are people who are trying to change, then cool. Give them a chance to change. But like, if it's more than just language and they're actually like assaulting people, then that's a whole different issue. Like, this is all fucking very nuanced shit.
You know what happened? I'll give you 3 names: Asia Argento, Amber Heard, and Mrs. Jar Jar Abrams. Katie McGrath resigning from the Me Too Time's Up board of directors that I believe was ultimately used as a massive power grab.
So, I want to just specify, and I'm certain, when Gary says little terms like "I believe," it means I have no source, so I'm pulling this shit out of my ass because it fits my narrative.
How do you guys make hiring decisions, and who wins?
Katie wins. No, I think that if I can just because this is
This article is based on interviews with more than 24 industry leaders, including top studio executives, agents, activists, marketers, and producers who spoke on the condition of anonymity to candidly discuss the current state of the entertainment business. They varied in age, race, ethnicity, and gender. For 3 years, we hired nothing but women and people of color, said a senior film executive who, like many leaders in the industry, is a white male. He added that he did not think some of them were able to do the jobs they got. Whoa, you're telling me you're filling quotas in a highly specialized luxury creative industry and they aren't able to do the work? They're inexperienced?
Well, you know how you get experience, Gary? You hire them and you let them do it. It's an issue, and this is essentially the rough patch. Essentially, like, when it comes to shit like this, white men are going to feel in a stronger position to be more forward and go into more specialized fields because white men have a much stronger position in society. Maybe not much stronger, but stronger. It's how our society is set up. The idea is to give opportunities to people who obviously aren't white, and at the beginning, when you start doing stuff like that, there will be rough patches, and the hope is eventually it all evens out.
I'm shocked. In hushed conversation.
And yeah, crawling chaos, yeah. Sources would be nice. I like sources.
Over lunch at Toscano Brentwood or cocktails at the San Vincent Bungalows, some powerful producers and agents have started to question the commercial viability of inclusion-minded films and shows. I wonder what brought them to that.
Yeah, isn't this a New York Times article, which even he criticized New York Times, which doesn't... Yeah, New York Times doesn't thrill me either. It used to be great, but yeah. So if he thinks New York Times is a joke and he's treating this article seriously, but like laughing at it, like what are we supposed to get from this? What? If it's a reliable source and you're mocking it, then why do you mock the New York Times? And if it's not a reliable source, then why the fuck does this video even exist?
That conclusion. Maybe they talked to the CW executives.
Gary would be flunked so hard if he tried to take a journalistic degree. Yeah, exactly. What the fuck?
Tried all that woke shit, but every time we made $1, we had to spend $2. I think we're losing money.
That was literally specifically the CW. Exclusively. According to your very video.
They point to terrible ticket sales for films like Bros, the first gay rom-com from a major studio, and Easter Sunday, a comedy positioned as a watershed moment for Filipino representation. Never heard of it, sorry. Miss Marvel, a critically adored D-plus series about a teenage Muslim superhero, was lightly viewed or not viewed at all, according to...
No, lightly viewed. I don't even know how lightly it was. It didn't do great, but it was actually a very solid series. That I liked Miss Marvel quite a bit.
Nielsen's measurements. This brings us to the understatement.
That's the thing. I love how these guys just pick whatever metric fits their narrative. Okay, so like if it doesn't have good viewership, they'll be like, "Oh, it's a bomb. It had poor viewership." Or maybe it has really high viewership, but really really low fan scores. They'll be like, "Oh, look at the fan scores. It's a bomb." They just pick a metric that's low and say it's a bomb. It doesn't matter which one. There's no universality to it at all. Just pick one of the metrics that looks bad and say it bombed. And then that's the thing. Like when it comes to like the fan score on IMDb, it's fucking useless when you have your legion of fandom menace goons. Just go ahead and give it a negative review without even fucking watching it.
Of the year. There was an overcorrection, one studio head said. At another major studio, a top production executive pointed to the implosion of Time's Up, the anti-harassment organization founded by influential Hollywood women, including Katie McGrath, Miss Jar Jar Abrams, as a turning point. For a while, we all lived in complete fear, he said. That fear remains, but it has lessened. There is more room for gray and more benefit of the doubt and a bit of cringing about the rush to judgment that went on at the height of #MeToo. And New York Times is presenting this as a bad thing. No, it is a good thing. Amazing progress has been made and it's not going away.
Well, yeah, lots of times when you have movement start, it might get a bit sloppy, but it's still overall a good thing for women to feel safe in the workplace and not feel like they're gonna be fucking sexually harassed. Call me fucking crazy.
And it should not be discounted or overlooked, says Amy Baer, a producer, a former studio executive, and a board president at...
Get it? Her last name's Bear, so we're going to use a picture of a bear. Seriously, what the fuck?
At Women in Film, an advocacy organization. But there is fatigue. It is hard to maintain momentum, especially when there's so many opportunists ruining your movement. Within America, the land of opportunity, there is Hollywood, the land of opportunism. Entertainment companies are not backing off their tough sexual bad things policies that they have introduced in...
Nice way to trivialize like women. Like I'm absolutely certain men got sexually harassed too. It's primarily a woman issue, but men got sexually harassed too. And I like how you just trivialized the whole fucking thing. Just Jesus Christ, dude.
In recent years, this is probably a good thing considering Hollywood, in part because board members are worried they will face shareholder lawsuits and maybe lawsuits from some other places. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences recently recommitted to its diversification campaign despite years of aggressive efforts to invite women and people of color to become members of the Academy.
Why are you pronouncing color weird? Why do they always pronounce words weird? Oh yeah, that's right. They like to pronounce words weird when they want to like trivialize it and act like it's bullshit and doesn't matter.
Is currently 66% male and 81% white. Well, hopefully it gets...
Oh, that seems familiar that Terry Crews was a part of the Time's Up group. That does seem familiar.
There someday and do it before people...
Excellent point, Alex. Gary has no business calling out opportunists when he himself is a fucking vulture. Yes, absolutely.
People stop watching the show, which could happen any day now. The moment is nonetheless unnerving, says Sarah Ann Massey, an actress.
Yeah, great. I love for every time they need a fucking woman, they get like the worst screenshot they can get for any woman. And it's truly obnoxious. They use them for fucking thumbnails too. And it's like, just fucking goddamn. Ugh, I hate these guys.
Who appears in She Said, which recently was the biggest flop of the year. Well, maybe.
Yes, no, I understand Color with a U is a British is the British spelling. That being said, I don't think the British people pronounce it color. I believe that's a Gary thing, and Gary's not British.
Maybe until Strange Worlds came out, I'm not naive enough to think that a system that is unequal and oftentimes oppressive, pretending in Hollywood, by the way, that's what we're talking about, yes, still, very much so, is going to change overnight.
Yes, Crawling Chaos. In case you're wondering, according to these guys, every single thing released by Disney has been the biggest flop of the year. Every single one. Don't look at those box office numbers. Every single one has been the biggest flop in all of history, actually. Like, everything's made like $0 that was released by Disney. Didn't you know that? Did you know? Don't look at the numbers. Don't check my sources. Just trust me.
Right, Miss Moss said. At the same time, I find it incredibly frustrating. People at the top of the food chain in particular seem to have gotten distracted by new concerns, like making money and having to deal with all the bullshit accusations of Me Too Time's Up, and then
yes, let's trivialize all the women that have been victimized in Hollywood. Let's trivialize women who were victimized by Harvey Weinstein. What? We went over it on Fandom Initiative. He has what, like 80 accusations against him? I mean, Jesus, that's not something to take trivially. That's a piece of shit telling a woman, hey, fucking give me sexual favors and I'll give you a job. That's bullshit, and that should not be acceptable. And people who do that should be exactly where Harvey Weinstein is right now, in fucking jail. And people like you and Jeremy Griggs and Ryan Cannell trying to act like, oh, it's not a big deal. Go fuck yourself.
Having to deal with activists usurping what was probably a legitimate movement, and now it's turned into full-blown DEI takeover.
Do you have a source? Do you have a fucking source? Because you were criticizing the beginnings of the movement not that long ago, and now you're saying it started legitimately, but now it's bad. You're flip-flopping in your own goddamn video, bro.
In August, Warner Brothers shelved Batgirl, a nearly finished movie starring a Latina actress featuring a transgender actor in a supporting role. Written by a woman, produced by a woman, and directed by two Muslim men. Warner Brothers Discovery never publicly explained its decision, but signaled that it found Batgirl to be creatively lacking.
To my understanding, the two guys who directed it were the two guys, I think they also directed some Miss Marvel. So they're probably pretty good. I don't know, we don't have the information you need to know why it was canned. I personally would like to just watch it sometime. I've heard that maybe there's a tax credit, but it has to be destroyed for the tax credit, which would be unfortunate. I would like it to eventually just get released on HBO Max maybe in a couple years. That'd be nice.
Dan Lin, a producer whose credits include Aladdin and the Lego Movie, was among those who inferred something else. And he also openly admits something we've all known for a long, long time. It's no longer about optics, he said. A recession is coming. Budgets are tightening. And I'm really worried that diversity is going to be the first thing that goes. Not a surprise when your group.
Is that supposed to support your narrative, Gary? Because all he's saying is that, I like that we're doing more diversity, and he's afraid that's going to go because a recession is coming. Which, yeah, if you've paid any fucking attention to the American economy right now, yes, a recession is fucking coming.
Greenlighting projects, casting actors, and casting directors and producers behind the scenes, all for optics. Studios.
Those guys directed Bad Boys for Life? I thought Michael Bay did that. I don't really know much about my Bad Boys for Life. I haven't seen it. I just assumed Michael Bay came back for it, but maybe not.
Have started to take more risks with content. Are you sure about that? Backing scripts, for instance, that would have been radioactive in 2018. What do you mean, Top Gun Maverick, Spider-Man No Way Home? At the height of...
Yes, those are two movies I literally brought up earlier that have been pandemic immune. Everything else has suffered consequences from the pandemic. Hey, for all we know, maybe Top Gun Maverick and Spider-Man No Way Home would have done better without the pandemic. It seems unlikely, but everything has been affected by the pandemic that goes to the box office. You know what really hasn't been affected by a pandemic? Streaming. Streaming numbers are fucking doing great. It's theater numbers that are fucking hurting.
of the hashtag #MeToo, or in 2020 when BLM was at the forefront of the culture in the summer of love that Hollywood went hard in the paint for, and people haven't forgotten.
I have to be honest, if things had gone differently this past week in Minneapolis, I might have traded in my heels for marching boots. I know that a lot of you people at home want to reach for your remote when you feel like Hollywood is preaching to you.
No shit. At the same time, some movies and shows that overtly showcase...
Well, it looks like Regina King, right? That was Regina King. It looked like she had a pretty good speech, but you trivialized it nicely.
Diversity and inclusion have either struggled in the marketplace or failed to get off the runway. The takeaway, at least for some agents and studio executives, the smart ones, we tried. These woke projects don't work. And the reason it doesn't work isn't because of diversity and inclusion. Au contraire, it's the message that lacks either. And
the message. So Gary, thank you for using a term that Critical Drinker uses. So clearly you know what the message is. So would you please enlighten us? You have about a minute left in this video. You just brought the message. What is the message, Gary? I think since you brought it up, and I don't think you usually bring up the message, that's a Critical Drinker thing, which he has yet to define, could you please, succinctly for me, define the message?
all of this was inevitable. To the stands and corporate shills who have been telling us...
Oh, yeah, you're just gonna say that and then move on to something else. Yeah, I knew that was coming, but, you know, a piece of me hoped that maybe you would fucking define it for me. Because as far as I can tell, the message is just, women and minorities are equal to white men. And guess what? I'm pretty fucking okay with that message.
Us, Disney and Hollywood are doing just fine. To all the others who have been saying, your voice doesn't matter and it's all a waste of time. Just a reminder.
Did I call him Jeremy? No, this is Gary. There's Jeremy Griggs, who is Geeks and Gamers, and then there's Jeremy Hambley, which is Quartering. I didn't mean to call him Jeremy, but yes, this is Gary.
Disney lost $1.5 billion on its streaming in 1 quarter, and now Bob Chapek is being accused of cooking the books again. And one more time, because this is never going to get old. Disney fired their CEO in the middle of the night on a Sunday, and I know they replaced him with the same idiot who got us here, but it was the action itself. To state the obvious,
did it occur to you that they replaced him with Igor because Igor actually did a really good job when he was running the company? That seems the most likely reason.
Because that's what I have to do here on YouTube. These are not the action.
Yeah, no, it would be funny, Hell's Bells, if all these grifters were all somehow just fucking named Jeremy. Just somehow that name is fucking cursed.
Of a healthy organization. Is Hollywood going to change? Time will tell. It certainly looks like a couple of organizations are at least trying, but others still need to hit bottom.
Well, yeah, Robert Hamilton saying he's bringing up the exact same points multiple times in this video. That's the thing. I don't even know if he's even made any points this video. This has just been a whole lot of virtue signaling, honestly. Like him, you know, oh, Harvey Weinstein's bad, but, you know, Me Too was bullshit, and diversity inclusion is bullshit. This is just a big old fucking virtue signal.
But they're well on their way. Maybe Hollywood shouldn't have prioritized identity politics over profit. Maybe they shouldn't have told half of their audience to f*** off. Maybe they should have actually...
When did they tell half their audience to fuck off? When, what? What? When they said racist shouldn't come or homophobe shouldn't come? Which honestly, like, outside like maybe some actors and some like tweets, not a whole lot of people said that shit. But yeah, if you are triggered when they say shit like that, when they say shit like racist and bigots shouldn't come, and you're triggered, it's kind of a fucking self-report.
Competed instead of colluded, which is a bad thing.
Exactly, Crawling Chaos. Gary and his little friends are actual snowflakes. They cry about the same shit every day. Yes, I swear to God, these people are the biggest snowflakes on the fucking planet.
That's why woke Hollywood failing is a good thing. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't...
Do we want to go ahead and watch that original Flea video? I think I saw a lot of it on Pop Counterculture when he covered it. But if you guys want me to go over it, I can, because I think it's a lot of pandemic stuff. Do we want to cover it? Do we want to cover any more Gary? That video, that woke Hollywood is failing, that's a good thing. That was just a fucking virtue signal video. It was just a virtue signal. There was no point to that except him to say, kind of hint around and tap dance around the idea that diversity bad, woke bad, and that's all it was. It was a virtue signal to his audience. That is all that was.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.